Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. So we just chatted with the president of the Peel Elementary Teachers Local about the challenges of getting back to school, and I wanted to reach out to a teacher and find out what her concerns are, what it's like, what measures are being taken, etc. And so Urszula, who is a elementary school teacher in Malton, is now joining us. Good afternoon. Good evening. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So what do you teach and whereabouts? You don't have to tell me the name of the school, but it's Malton, correct?
Yes, I teach in Malton with the Dufferin-Peel Catholic District School Board. And I was going to teach 4 or 5, but because of all the changes, I'm up to grade 8 now.
So grade
8.
8. And so is that high school or is that still elementary?
No, that's still elementary.
Okay, so tell me, are you concerned? Are you excited? Are you scared? What's your attitude?
I think all of us have a combination of all the emotions. Like, usually the start of school is a very exciting time, but it's exciting, but yet we're all filled with anxiety, because I know the board is trying their best to keep us healthy, and, masks are required for grades 1 to 12, but you just don't know, right? You don't know, you take that mask off for 1 second and you breathe in that droplet and there you go, right? So I know that we're all doing the best we can to stay healthy and safe, and hopefully the parents are taking care of their kids as well, and so that we can transition into this new COVID teaching thing that has happened in the best way we can.
Now, I saw you posted a picture on Facebook of preparing your classroom, and the desks were far apart. So how many kids are you going to have in your class?
So my school actually has about 50% of the students coming back. So I have about 13 to 14 coming back. So I was able to space out my desks fairly well. I know some classes, they have over 20 coming back. So they need.
So this is interesting. So this is the children and or the parents that are, for whatever reason, not bringing their kids back. So they're staying home to do online, or are they moved out of the community?
No. So the children that are staying home or choose to stay home with their parents, whoever's watching them, they will have online learning, the same format as they would in school. So it'd be 5 hours of online with segmented recess and lunch breaks.
But you don't teach them. They get taught by some online teacher.
Yes. So that would be a separate entity by teachers who, because there's less enrollment, so the teachers based on seniority, they will be getting more information as to their students, their online principal, etc. So it'd be kind of like a separate but the same area, but different format.
So this is actually kind of interesting. So you're going to actually test out whether this pupil-teacher ratio that the unions have been arguing, teachers have been arguing for a long period of time, is as beneficial as people think it is, because your students are going to have twice as much of your time and attention as they would typically get.
Yes, 14 is an amazing number. It's like a private school, but it would be difficult because you still can't interact directly with your students. We have stipulations on paper use. You have to, if I give a paper out, they cannot touch it for 24 hours. If they hand something in, I cannot touch it for 24 hours, right? So we'll see how it plays, but the numbers.
Really? You can't read their test for 24 hours. What are you going to do? Put it in a lockbox for a day?
A container and just wait it out. Yeah. Right now, I think just starting, everything is just going to be based on safety and protocols and then, because we also have a new math curriculum that has been given to us, right? So there's so much going on.
What's the new math curriculum?
So they've taken the former math and they kind of went back to basics, but we have somewhat new but similar strands. So they've incorporated coding and algebra and financial literacy. And all the while, there's going to be more direct teaching because previously it has been more observation or discovery learning for students. But we find kids need that direct instruction because not all kids can think abstractly right away. They don't have those tools yet, visual spatial tools yet.
What about you? Are you going to be wearing a mask all day long?
We have to. We are mandated to wear masks, medical graded masks all day with a shield. So I have a variety of masks. We're provided a mask and a shield, but I also have gloves. I also have a jacket I might wear. I'm just going to feel the situation out. I also don't want the students to be, freaked out, but I think, that's a conversation each teacher should have with their class, right? We just all want to be safe.
And, kids in grade 8, they've been watching the news. They've experienced some of this. What are 8-year-olds? That's 14, 15 years old, so that they should be okay. But younger kids, you used to be teaching in grade 4 or 5. That would be challenging, or nursery school or grade 1, don't you think?
Yeah, I think the teachers in kindergarten, the 3, 4, 5-year-olds up to grade 1, 2, maybe even 3. I think that's going to be a challenge because, the kindergartens don't have to wear masks, but the grades 1 and up do. But I put on a post, like, just start practicing, because I know kids are not going to they're going to touch it. They're going to, have the students start practicing wearing their masks, 20 minutes a day, because they're going to have to wear it every day, all the time for 5 hours, unless they're eating. So I think it's going to be a challenge.
What are you going to do if some kid takes the mask off in the middle of the day? Going to send them to detention?
No, I guess it depends on the situation. If they need a break, like, we will be going outside. Our days are going to look different. Like, our recesses are indoor, and then we have 2 gym periods when we're going to go outside, and that's their mask-free zone. And also while they're eating, they don't have to wear their mask.
And do they eat in the classroom or in a cafeteria?
Well, in my school, it's in the classroom.
And you say recess is inside? That's not a recess.
Yeah, it's going to be a different ball game. But yeah, we have recesses indoor, and then we go outside for these 2 blocks in the morning, one in the morning, one in the afternoon.
Recess inside, in the classroom. They're going to take their masks off for sure. They're going to be not physically distant for sure. Like, if you've got 20 minutes that you're allowed to have fun and play, how can you keep people away from each other? And
well, the goal is during recess, they have to sit at their desk and do an independent activity.
That's not a recess.
I know, that's why we have the gym blocks outside, right? So like I said, there's going to be so many changes, and hopefully with the lower numbers, and hopefully with the kids just knowing that, this is what we have to do right now. We just have to be vigilant, because they're predicting a second wave, and we hear, schools that have opened and are now closed because of COVID. So, we have to do our best to just kind of do what we can to stay safe.
Now, if someone gets infected in your class or in your school, have you discussed what happens? Does one class get sent home, or does the whole school get sent home?
Well, no, then because I'm with them pretty much the whole day. So we're like a pod. And so if one person gets sick in my pod, then measures will be taken. That person will be isolated, sent home, and then, further instructions will be given.
What do you do if some kid comes to the class sneezing and coughing with a fever?
Well, parents are asked to monitor at home before sending to school, and kids are asked to self-monitor. And so if that happens, I believe the office will get involved, and that child will be placed in a room until further instructions.
And what, sent home, or given a detention?
No.
Or
no detention. You're sick, you're not in trouble.
No, but if parents are sending their kids to school, it's one thing if they had the sniffles. It's a whole different thing if they have COVID-19.
Yeah, and flu season's coming up, so that's going to be difficult to distinguish, right? The symptoms are somewhat the same, but depending on the area, you have single parent families where they have to work and they don't have a babysitter. So that's what would happen. But hopefully everyone is trying their best, to just stay safe.
What do you think about this online learning? You had an experience of it in the spring, I presume. It sounds like half what could have been your class are going to be staying home, learning online. Is it effective? Can people learn online?
Haven't talked to parents and teachers. I think some teachers liked it. I myself did not prefer. It's not I need to be interacting and socializing with my students. It wasn't for me. But some teachers really liked it and some students really liked it. They found it less distracting than being in a classroom and really did well. And even in my class, I found some students really rose to the occasion and some students were just lost, right? So I think it depends on the child, but either way, being in the class, I do have to somewhat have an online learning component in case we go back to online learning 100%.
Oh, really? So you're going to be telling your kids to do something online even though they're in class?
Well, we're online anyways. We have our Google Classrooms, right? Like we're moving into 21st century learning. So, you know, there's a lot more technology in our teaching being incorporated.
Do your kids bring computers to class?
No, our students get a computer. Right now we tell them don't bring your own in case they get stolen. But luckily my class and the other class, the 6, 7, 8s, are getting an Edwin's. That's a program that our board has developed for the intermediate students. They each get their own computer for the year.
Oh, really? Okay. And some high schools are going sort of half-time in class, half-time online. What do you think of that as a potential solution?
Well, they're older, so they can handle that. Well, hopefully most of them can. I think right now the government and the school board is just trying out, you know, different ways to kind of curb the spread of COVID, right? Because they also socialize a lot more and they have different relationships, etc.
Now, you get your kids all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So you know the teachers aren't rotating. What about French or other classes, phys ed? Do they get different teachers for those courses?
They would. I know for me, the French teacher will come into my class, and I'm not sure. We haven't received any schedules as of yet, but I believe the other teachers that are doing other subjects to come into our class, they stay in our pod.
And so what other than French, what other teachers might come into your class?
Last year it was drama and music. And so it's French, drama, music. Every school is different. It just depends on the teachers they have and what the agreement is for the subjects to be taught.
I was at a jazz club and the jazz singer was behind plexiglass. What about having you teach behind plexiglass?
You know, it's a option. I thought about it, but then I would have to pay for it, and it could get expensive, and there's also a barrier, right? They won't be able to hear me properly. I already have a mask, a shield, and then a plexiglass, so it's hard. It would be hard to hear.
What happens if you get sick?
Then I go home,
and a sub teacher comes in.
No.
Well, it sounds like you got a reasonably good attitude about all this and you're preparing well and you've got half as many students as you've had before and you're excited about being able to spend a little bit more time with each student than you would typically. So, and you've, posted on Facebook, as I said, your desks, they're all physically separated and you think that the kids are going to be honoring the mask wearing and they're going to wear them. So things are going to be good.
That's the hope, but kids will be kids. Right. So it's, as a teacher, it's like a million reminders, right? It's routines, giving them strategies, reminders, and that's the name of the game with teaching, right?
Well, and I've been watching, not just kids, adults too, but kids just out and about, and they're playing with the mask constantly because they play with stuff.
Yeah. So it's, I made a post, try different masks, something that's more comfortable. Even for myself, I thought I liked the cloth masks, but I don't. I need those medical grade paper ones.
Well, it's going to be an interesting term for you. Let's check back in after a while and see what it's like.
Yep, it sure will be interesting.
Urszula Ula, a grade 8 teacher in Malton. Thank you so much for joining us and telling us what it's like going back to school. Really appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was fascinating. We've talked to a union leader. We've talked to a teacher. Next, we're going to talk to a parent. Stay with us. on the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're going to be back in just a minute.